Thank you all for coming to Pure Extract's corporate update. As you all know, we have entered into a JV with Golden Harvest, a multi-state operator in the Michigan area, to produce extracts and vape cartridges, gummies in the U.S. market, starting with Michigan. In the transaction, we'll be vending in a mixture of equipment, cash, and our extraction expertise to the joint venture with Golden Harvest, and they'll be providing their infrastructure, accounting systems, licensing, biomass, and access to their distribution channels. Golden Harvest already sells to over 100 existing dispensaries out of the 400 in Michigan. We also have access to another 200 of the dispensaries to sell to. So we have an existing sales ability once we enter Michigan in 90 to 100 days, once we're up and running, to start selling directly to the dispensary. And this model is a little bit different from the Canadian model, where it has to go through the provinces and be listed. In the Michigan model, you can sell directly to the Gauges of the world and the dispensaries through the sales channel directly. So we're super excited about that. And just to give you the size of Michigan market recorded sales of $171 million US in the month of July. That's up 56% year over year. If to give you an idea, that's about 70% of all of Canada in one province. So we're super excited about that possibility. Michigan will exceed the size of Canada quite soon. So, we're definitely, moving forward in a very strong emerging state. Michigan obviously has been identified as, per capita, one of the highest users, more than Colorado. I believe it's now on par with places like California. So from a user perspective, we think that, we'll be able to capture, a good part of the share that's out there. There's not, a lot of competition in the Michigan market yet. We believe, once we're up and running, we can do about $1.5 million to start run rate, and then boost, our sales as we get, additional penetration, up to $2.5 or $3.5 million. The sales for oil-based product is definitely growing. It's about 40% of the sales today, give or take, for oil-based products and edibles and vapes. So we continue to see that to grow. The joint venture will be a building of 2,600 square feet out of the 80,000 square feet facility that they have in Bay City, Michigan. In addition to Pure's products, we'll be selling our branded, Pure vapes that are on shelf in Canada, and Pure gummies and tincture products. We'll be also producing out of the gate Golden Harvest Grown Rogue product for them to sell directly to their retail community. So we have a built-in, source of revenue on day one. We're also installing a live resin capability. Obviously, it's a newer product in market, super popular right now. Niche, for sure, but building, quite nicely. So we're going to launch a live resin capability in Michigan, and then we'll actually launch it in the Canadian market right after that. And within Michigan, you can build a brand. In Canada, obviously, we have a brand because of our legacy experience of Pure Pulse, and it's actually boded very well for us. We'll talk about Canada shortly in the presentation, but we're pretty excited that we can actually change the packaging look, be on par with our U.S. partners that have the ability to have brand ambassadors. Our CBD product is very well received, and our CBD gummies and our proprietary packaging. So we're pretty excited about that. The licensing and production facility should be completed by the end of 4Q, and we should be up and selling in 1Q. For the Canadian side of the business, we received 9 POs so far, 4 different provinces, and we're now listed on one medical One Medical platform. So, we penetrated quite well, within the Canadian market. The first initial load-ins were about $500,000 of POs that were received. We think we'll be able to move to that $1.5 million run rate of sales through the business quite readily. In BC, for an example, we sold out online of our vape cartridges in 2 days. They've placed BC an order for a repeat of that. So we're quite confident that our sales will continue to grow. We received, a 6-figure order from Alberta for our gummies right out of the gate. So our product is selling through nicely. We have to see, once we get, we're in Ontario shortly. The sell-through for the provinces will be key for our run rate business, but as of today, we're building nicely, and we continue to see volumes, growing in that perspective. So, we're working on to add, more provinces. We added Saskatchewan just recently. We released that. We're also moving forward on white labeling programs. We have 2 white label programs for distillate and one for CBD vape cartridges with licensed LPs. We're working on 2 more larger LPs that will be moving forward in tincture programs and vape programs. So we're excited about that. And we've definitely seen, the tolling business a little bit differently than we built the model for the business. We thought tolling would be a greater part of the business. We're happy that it's not. Obviously, margins in tolling, are under pressure. We'd rather put our resources towards our branded product and white label product. You just make more margin there. We have taken on 2 large hemp growers in the West. To toll for them. Pricing is good. The product is easy to toll for us. So we're excited about that part of the business for sure, and the growth ability for that. We see new product development every day. We're working, diligently to develop new products, for launch in 2022 to bring to market, using our existing infrastructure, our CapEx, and expanding our product offerings. So, we're, diligently, seeing as a CPG business that you need to, continue to innovate and use your equipments to the fullest, and that's what we're working on. So we're excited about that. We have a few innovative products in the pipeline for launch into 2022, and we're quite excited about those new products coming online. I'm talking about new products. We launched our functional mushroom business a few months ago. We finally got Canada up and running. There were some technical difficulties with Amazon Canada and COVID. Amazon US launched no problem. We've now started spending a few dollars on Instagram sales and starting to boost the brand. You've also, I'm sure, seen the acceleration of our advertisements within Instagram and Facebook. And we're launching 2 new products in that realm for the coming weeks. We'll be launching an organic lion's mane in 6 weeks and a blended formula in about 2 months to 6 weeks. So, we have 2 products on shelf today. We'll have another 2, and then we'll be, revving up our marketing for that. And, functional for us is the ability to touch the mushroom, be involved in the industry, understand when you extract it or powderize it, what that does and how it changes the profile. And it helps us being able to get ready for the next step in our evolution is our psychedelics part of the business. So psychedelics mushrooms is, very much, part of our business, as you know. We're ready to sign our definitive with the science group to be, part of the ability to bring in biomass from South Africa. The Canadian Health Canada has approved the ability to bring in product from them, so we'll be doing that, and we're involved with a trial with the science group, with the University of Queens and the hospital in Kingston to do a study on anxiety and PTSD in palliative care areas to help patients, that aren't able to get any benefit from the opioid epidemic that's out there. And we know, from the press how rampant, the use of opioids is in the treatment of mental health. the ability to do a clinical trial at Queen's Medical is pretty substantial. So being involved in that and bringing a product from abroad, extracting it to the standards that we believe we need, and knowing how to deal with functional mushrooms and the benefits of taking out certain items of the plant, and eventually mixing that with a reishi or a lion's mane to help proprietary blends of psilocybin in the treatment of patients with some mental disorders. So we're super excited about that part of the business, and it'll help us standardize the content and differentiate us in the market. We won't just be extracting psilocybin in the lab that we applied to. As you know, we applied for our dealer's license to be able to extract psilocybin and grow on site. We have that submitted into Health Canada. That's like a year process. So we have our partner extracting it under our parameters for the trial, and we still see our R&D ongoing in that, and Canada and the US continue to support psilocybin and the use. There's definitely been approval of several different trials for psilocybin in Canada, and in the Oregon area is the hotspot today for psilocybin use by patients and doctors prescribed. Our multi-state operator, Golden Harvest Grown Rogue, head office is in Oregon, so they actually know the public officials quite well. So we're in discussions with them to put an office in the Oregon area. So we'll look at expansion as they get more traction, and in the psilocybin area in Oregon to continue to do some of our R&D in that area for psilocybin. When we look at the business overall, we've had a bunch of questions that's come in from our shareholders. Obviously, there's hundreds of you online. We couldn't take your questions, but there was a bunch that came in via email. So we've taken the top 5 that we were asked, and I'm just going to go through a couple of them. And if you have any additional questions, please email me at info@pureextractscorp.com, and we'll be happy to respond to them. So the first question that we had is, can you comment on the Michigan market, size, growth, projections, competitive landscape? So, as we talked about, they're the size of Canada effectively. So $171 million in sales of dried flowers and edibles, dried flower being the biggest part of that market, and then edibles and extracted product would be the delta. We see that continuing to grow. Everybody agrees that Michigan is a growth market. It's not oversaturated from a competition perspective. There's 2 real extractors out there, and they're smaller. One has a couple brands. So we feel that we should be able to penetrate quite well with our expertise and really deal with some of the smaller growers. It's very much like Canada was, 3 years ago when rec was becoming legal, and we had, smaller growers that, were really good at what they did for dry flower, but they had no capabilities within the extraction space. So they come to folks like us to help them build a product and a white labeling program. We will do that within the joint venture. So we see significant upsides of being, one of the first movers in the extraction area to set up shop in Michigan, and be able to sell directly to the 400 stores that are open today, and they're opening more stores every day. I think Gage has a projection to open 26 stores over the next few months. So we're excited about that, and it's not an overly saturated market, and we believe we can definitely capture a lot of share in the market. We have 7 to 8% in Alberta of the FSO market already, and we've been out a month and a half. We believe we can capture similar type numbers in the vape and edible markets in Michigan. So we're quite bullish on Michigan. and we're going to continue to grow there. We can see significant revenue coming from Michigan that will be equal and or more from our Canadian operations, just because of the size and the early mover advantage we have in Michigan. So another question was asked, are you expanding to other states? And the question is yes. We are looking at a few other states, Florida being one, Arizona being another. We're actively looking to do a carbon copy of what's going on in Michigan. Obviously, we're going to get Michigan done, but Florida is a medical state today. The movement will be to rec for sure, and with the Biden administration now, starting to focus a little bit more on cannabis. You've seen folks moving into the U.S. market. Tilray did a big acquisition just recently with MedMen and having some retail presence. The cross-border and or cross-state capabilities within the U.S. are coming. And, I'd love to be able to say when, but I saw this coming 2 years ago. We've been planning this from when I started with the company to move into the United States. We're one of the only Canadian operators that have made the leap of our size, and we're able to do this quite cost effectively, and that's why I think our valuation is super reasonable. We're a third of the valuation of a standalone MSO in Michigan. So I think there's significant upside to our operations, and as we continue to grow in the U.S. and in Canada, it's just a natural progression of, our U.S. investors will catch on of, hey, they're, penetrating Michigan, they're going to penetrate Florida. We're not quite Crisco, but, or Trulieve, but, we're definitely, punching above our weight from a operational perspective, and being a multi-state operator and listed on the CSE, we have no regulatory issues with, what we're doing. So the next one is, how many products, SKUs do you have listed across across your footprint in Canada? We have 21 SKUs listed across the provinces versus our competition is around 19. So again, we were out of the blocks late with COVID. We came out swinging. We've captured 4 provinces in a matter of months. We're on shelf. The sell-through is good. And we're a brand, and Pure was a brand before in the legacy market. People remember it in Western Canada for sure, and we're picking up speed. So we're excited about the possibilities of adding more SKUs. We're in Ontario. We got in under the wire for the product calls. They're relooking at their product calls overall. So super excited about the sales possibilities of expanding our SKUs. Another question was, what's the biggest risk of the business going forward? I call this geopolitical risk. As you know, there's an election going on in Canada. There will be a government change in some sort. We'll see who ends up winning, but we're keeping our eye on that quite actively. The good thing is we don't believe there'll be a major shift of the cannabis policy in Canada. Obviously, COVID was very expensive, and the governments need to pay off the debt that they've incurred with the stimulus packages. So we don't believe that there'll be a change to the taxation and or licensing of cannabis businesses. It will be continued to treat it like alcohol or any other regulated type programs. So that's one that we talk actively with the political figures, and we have our eye on. And the last one that we got a lot of interest on was supply chain, both from a cannabis perspective and products coming in from offshore. And so our supply chain is quite strong. So being in the CPG business before, obviously I kept my eye on this part of the business quite actively. Cannabis is readily available, and when we modeled this business, 18 months ago, we were looking at a dollar, 90 cents to a dollar price of cannabis. We're now seeing in the market pricing like 20 cents, 25 cents for extracted grade product, and with the onset of more outdoor grow, there is more cannabis in the vaults than Canada consumed from a dried flower perspective. So our input costs actually have went down. We also took measures when COVID hit to make sure in our supply chain that we could get vape cartridges, from China and other places. The majority of them were made there, and we have a priority status with our manufacturer Transspring to get product within a couple of weeks across the pond. So we have no issues with that, and we actually chose in our supply chain Canadian and U.S. suppliers of packaging. The pricing was, on par with offshore packaging, pretty much within a few cents, but the risk of not having packaging was too great when COVID hit. And now, we're seeing with our competitors that we're buying product from Asia that they're not delivering. So, we're super, we're very happy that, we're getting our packaging on time. It's not impacting any of our sales. That's a good thing for us, and we definitely took that into account when we did our planning for COVID. And the last thing that people were asking, there was a lot of M&A activity in the sector. Tilray and Aphria, is Pull looking at any potential targets, and are you a target? And so I would say yes, yes, and yes. Obviously, there's a lot of M&A in the space. The cannabis business goes through cycles. We're going into a new cycle in September. Usually the cannabis business picks up until after Christmas, and in the summer it's doldrums. That's just the way it's been historically. There's lots of acquisition and M&A activity in the sector. We have our eye on a couple different brands that we'd like to bring into Canada, and how we do that, we'll figure out. And I really think we're an acquisition target with our strength of our brand and the sell-through that we're having, and we're trading in 38 cents, give or take, with our market cap. It's definitely attractive to some of the larger players. We've seen Redecan being purchased by Hexo. The multiple was $900 million for the company. Obviously they have a strong penetration in the extraction sector. We're not far behind. We'll get our revenues to similar spots. Our margins are very nice. So, as we have continued penetration, we're definitely on, our competition's radar screen, and some of the larger LPs were definitely on their screen as a profitable company going forward, where we can make money in the sector at these levels. And we're listed, and we have a brand, and the brand presence is, as I said, very difficult to build. So we're excited about the possibility. Obviously, we're a buy on the market in our position. I said it at 23 cents that, we were definitely a buy, and obviously, it caught on with what's going on in the US with us, and, we popped up to 40. I think we still have a lot of runway to go, and the proof is in the Redecan acquisition by Hexo. Their business model is not that different from us. They're a full scale extractor. Obviously, they've had more time on market, but we've penetrated 4 of the biggest provinces out of the gate. We effectively started production, once a facility was certified, in that March timeframe. So, my management team is executing, everything. We can look back at our videos and our corporate statement. Everything that we said we'd do, we've done. And, my team is knocking it out of the park. And we're excited about the future, both in Canada and the US and internationally. And, one of the other questions is, will you do business internationally? As we know, we've done a pilot in Germany for product. We're actively in discussions, with providing product around the globe. So we will be shipping internationally. We're obviously focused on the provinces right now, their revenue in hand, and we're building a brand. But there will be product being sent internationally for us. So a lot of upside for us in the coming months and into 2022. We'll see, the business continue to grow and expand. And, we're doing it thoughtfully. Michigan, was something that we knew we had to do, and, what it'll bring to the table, we're excited about. So, we're definitely going to be growing and expanding over the next, 6 to 12 months, and some exciting things to come. So I want to thank everybody for attending the corporate update. As I said, please email me if I didn't cover any of your questions, but I've given you some revenue guidance on where we're going, and I hope that's helpful for some of you folks. And if I've missed your question that you need answers, please email me, and we'd be happy to respond.